Hello. Just hang in there. Hey, buddy.
What's happening?
Give me a second. Let me get a decent virtual background here. There we go.
Nice. So what's going on?
We're on the skyline of Manhattan tonight. Just where I can afford, right?
Listen, as long as you're not dangling out the window trying to jump out of there, where everybody's all right with it.
I might be after this week, for sure. Sure.
Oh man.
So I took to talk to two owners today who both had COVID.
Wow. Did they have it while they were at work?
So they don't know, but neither one of them has literally any symptoms except for loss of taste and smell.
Wow.
So it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know why some people get so sick and others don't, but it's just, oh man, I'm so sick of this now. I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of the election bullshit. I just wanted I want to fast forward into next year already. Right? Where's the button on the remote?
It's crazy. Well, I mean, look at, with everything over in Europe too. I
Wait,
mean, it's like
wait a second. Wait a second. Do I see a suit jacket on?
I have a suit jacket on. I listen, I did my
Nice.
I did my
Nice.
first post or during COVID in salon class a couple hours ago in Montclair.
Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's not easy
How's
to talk.
Angela? How's Angela and the kids? Good.
They're good. They're good. It's funny. I got this amp, so it's a wearable amp you put on your belt with a headset for like a headset microphone, so
Yeah.
you don't have to scream with the mask on for 2 hours. Because it's hard to stand up there and talk for 2 hours as it is, let alone in a mask.
It's crazy. It's crazy. That sounds cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it was my low tech purchase.
Here comes your buddy.
Yeah, Joe had to do the Mad Dash Scramble. He's out in Vancouver doing a training class all week, so he's not gonna have all his fun technology stuff behind him.
I see that. He's got no video, no mic.
No way.
Joe is the invisible man right now.
Boom.
There,
Nice.
No, I'm in a
hey,
hotel, man.
What's up, brother man?
Oh, that's better, right? That's okay. Oh, what do we got going on? What's up, homies? I did bring this though.
Nice.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver,
That's
so
the James. That's the one I was telling you about last week that I want to order. They have a clip where it clips right to your computer screen.
yeah, got all
Yeah, it's
sorts of good
nice.
stuff, man. Yeah,
I'm testing
Hey,
out these. I'll
speaking of
show you.
that, give me
Go
one
ahead and get
second.
it off.
let's do this. Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm testing out these guys. It's got a suction cup on it, so it
I
sticks
like
right up
that.
front. His Macs are weird, man, because they're sort of shapely in the back, so nothing likes to
Just
stick.
like just like me, man.
That's
Shapely in the
it.
back.
Shapely in the back.
Yeah. What's up, homies?
How you doing, man?
Good, good, good.
Just waiting for Andrew to get on. How's your class going?
What's up?
How's your class going out there?
No, I'm not doing a class. I've got a client out here that it's a buddy of mine I've known for a long time, and he's convinced me to take on as like sort of their VP of sales, like sort of remote, because they need a lot of help. They're gonna have a really big opportunity here. So I'm taking that on off the side of my desk and just cranking out this team. So I'm here in Vancouver doing a sort of a meet and greet and a heart to heart to foot to ass kind of a week. So it's good.
I'm gonna fire up the Facebook Live. See if Facebook is our friend tonight.
I know,
Cool.
right?
Love it. I think that's a good
See
little
if,
background there, eh?
let's
Vancouver.
see if Zoom and Facebook are being nice to each other this week.
We'll know in a minute.
Let's do this. I'm gonna move this. I like that little background there. There we go. Cut that off. I can just get relaxed.
Nice. How long are you out in Vancouver, Joe?
I'm here till Friday. Well, no, Saturday. I think Ursula's gonna come on Thursday. We're gonna hang out for 2 or 3 nights and kind of unwind and chill out and have some fun, man.
Nice.
Yeah. What's the dripping noise?
I'm doing a refresh. You know, you never know if Facebook Live is going to be nice to you or not and work.
What's that?
You never know if Facebook Live is going to be user friendly. And oh, there you go, not live on Facebook.
Love
Is
it.
it?
Yeah, it's
It's still
showing up on
loading.
top.
It's funny. I'm running the program and it says still loading.
Yeah, I got you right here.
Cool.
All right, good.
You know what?
So I'll introduce you. I mean, obviously, listen, we're waiting for people to start getting in and everything anyway, but um, Andrew will be on. Andrew's a vet in the salon industry. Derek with Salon Ninja Software and has been a salon owner and coach for a long time. So we've had a bunch of really interesting people on, a la what we used to do years ago, Joe. So just thought you'd be a good. There's Andrew now coming on in. Great lighting tonight, Andrew. Microphone not so great, but the lighting looks great.
Yep. How's that now?
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah. How are you, James?
I'm good, man. Your lighting looks great tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Hey, Joe.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are
What
you?
does your hat say? Honor, struggle. I like it. Good. I'm good.
Good. Where are you? It looks snowy. Is that
No, I'm in Vancouver. It's just I think it's the blue light special on my camera.
okay?
I'm totally remote today, so I don't have all the fancy gadgets. You guys can hear me okay though? I'm using the mic on the camera.
Yeah,
Perfect.
sounds good.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, Andrew, Joe has all the fun toys in his studio at home, man. He's got everything.
Yeah. Actually, Ursula's got, my wife has an online ballet training business we started. So she's got all the high-end cameras and wireless lav mics, and I try and steal it all the time, which will let me.
How you liking that wireless mic?
We got the Blink Sarmonic Blink is the one we have, and I like it for a couple reasons. One, well, because it's wireless, but two, it's got a single receiver, and then two transmitters. So if you want to do like an interview, you can have it, but it still comes in as one signal, so it doesn't separate the signals. So if you're editing, it's a bit of a challenge, but to be able to put it on your like DSLR camera or hook it right up to the computer. So what she uses it for, especially through Zoom, is she puts one over by the speaker for the ballet and then one on her. So she gets a really tight sync on the music and for her teaching.
But Joe, you don't need a soundboard for it to plug it into the soundboard?
Nope, no, it's fantastic. It's just like you can plug it right into your phone. So it comes with like comes with the TRS cables, the TRS and TRS. And so we have a little USB connector, so right into Zoom. So I've done some Zoom meetings where you can have like two people right on here, like an interview style. And yeah, so that's what Curtis and I met James through Curtis, and we've done some interviews that way where we just do a show and we both get mic'd up, and we've done it very ghetto so many times and very like high end. And you know what, man, the easiest ways are usually the best. We've had this like a phone with a crappy lav mic that's clipped onto a wine glass, and this is sitting in a wine glass. We've done Facebook Lives like that.
That is that's a duplicatable system.
Oh, buddy, it's in a drink.
If you have the right wine, it works every time.
The thing is like we've done it, like I've got some really overly complex systems, but sometimes the easiest ones are the best. You just show up and you go, right? And then you don't have to worry about all this stuff. The tech is what kills you sometimes.
Well, I heard about a launch that they had two landing pages, like one email, and they had how many? They had either 300,000 or 600,000 people viewing the thing.
Wow.
Yep. Well, we've got like the client I'm working with right now. You know, we were going through all of their materials for the sales training, and they're like, we need to build more. I'm like, my whole mission is to get rid of 90% of the stuff that you have, right? Because it's just like back to basics, man. Just it's old school. I'm just lazy. I'm like, if you just do it in one way, that's the way to do it.
So your wife's ballet school is for kids, or is it for adults?
It's for adults and kids. She's got kids classes. It's called onlineballettraining.com. And she got laid off due to COVID. And so we just started that like overnight, and it's done really well. She's taking a lot of private clients, and like she's a high-end like ballerina. And so now she's teaching, and she's got some really cool clients, and yeah, it's good. So we're building some courses and some membership sites and a lot of stuff on the back end, and just hiring people. It's good.
Yeah, and she actually did a husband ballet challenge during closure, right?
Is
James
that
was in it.
what was the prize? A tutu or something? What'd you get?
No, I started it off as a kind of a secret group where I was trying to get, because we're just trying to get the business launched, and I thought it'd be funny. And so I was talking to a bunch of the wives that I know of my friends and trying to get them to convince their husbands to do it. And it wasn't really going over very well. So I just called all the guys and signed them up for it. So they're like, wait, what is this? And so we had about 20 guys that all had to show up on it was a Sunday and learn ballet from Ursula online. And we said it was for charity and they have to do it. And so it didn't go over well for me, but they loved it.
That's cool.
Yeah, we raised a bunch of money for the Stigma Free Society, and it was good.
Yeah, you can find that YouTube video out there, Andrew, somewhere. It's hidden out there. Just don't post the link in there, right, Joe?
Well, I'll share it with you guys. There's some highlights. You look great. You had your sideways hat on, pumping it, man. It was good.
Oh, James.
You look good,
Always a
man.
sucker
You
for
look good.
always a sucker for charity, right?
Yeah. Or to be on the camera. I mean, either way.
Okay. There you go.
Hey, guys, hang in there. We're going to get started in 10 minutes.
10 minutes, I'm in. Oh,
Perfect.
I wish I had a whiskey.
Before the show is always more fun. Right?
Oh man. Well, James, I think James, you saw like way back in the day when we did Whiskey Friday on Blab.
Oh my God. I tell people that nobody knows. Joe used to do this show called Whiskey Friday, and there was a service like pre-Zoom called Blab that it was a video and you could video chat with people. And
That
they
was
they got
shit.
bought by somebody, right? They got bought by Microsoft or something crazy
Something
and
like that,
basically
yeah.
closed down.
Well, they changed their model, because they had a lot of people. Like, what was that guy? Martin Skrlecki, that guy?
Yeah,
Or
Farmer Bro.
Farmer Bro. He was crushing it on Blab. He was just doing a bunch of interviews. But no, the thing that was cool is it was done through Twitter. So yeah, I just wanted to have kind of a non-format, like overly produced, where we just drink whiskey and talk business. And so I would just bring people on as guests. And we had people coming in from all over the world. We had a guy in Australia who said it was his favorite breakfast show on Saturdays. And so everybody was drinking whiskey. But then
Whiskey
the
breakfast. I like that.
whiskey
Yeah.
breakfast in Australia, man. But the thing about it, the format was like, it was supposed to feel like sitting at a pub having a drink. That's totally my style, right? And so it definitely felt like that. We'd have people come in like super like sexist and racist and just show up and we're like, oh, let's kick that guy out. It was a riot, man. It was so fun. The first one we did, I got a text from my girlfriend and at the time, and she was like, she's like, you need to get off the internet. You're so drunk. It was like 5 hours in, and like, and I love you, and I love you. It was fantastic.
That was a lot of fun, though. That
It was a
really
good show.
was. Well, what was your famous line? You know, you could turn somebody's camera on and just let them on like open mic, and it's like,
Yeah.
you can come on, just don't be weird. What was you used to
Yeah,
tell
so we were,
everybody?
man. Yeah. Yeah. And then
Inevitably,
there was a lot of
he set the pace up because as soon as he said that, the guy that jumped on was like, you know,
always weird.
God.
I had a co-host one time, and she was trying to talk about marketing. This guy came on, started hitting on her. I was like, "This ain't Tinder, bro. You gotta go." Like, it was awesome. But I think, like, and also the funny part, like, because I do like sales coaching and speaking, and right after we started that, like probably 6 months, I went and spoke at a group of like 3,000 people, and the way the guy introduced me is like, Joe Girard does this and this, and everybody's like, yeah, the sales guy. They all roll their eyes, and he's like, he's got the show called Whiskey Friday. It's sponsored by Glenlivet. They're all like, I like this guy. This guy sounds cool. So it was like all the credibility. Like nobody ever even knows what I do anymore. They're like, when are you gonna do Whiskey Friday? It's all they know.
That's funny. We did a couple though. We did a couple impromptu. I don't know if they were actually on Fridays or not during COVID.
Whiskey Friday every day. You bet.
Yeah, they Joe's got this knack for having really interesting, cool friends. I don't know if it's a Canadian type thing or whatever. We don't have friends that are that cool, except the three of us. But
Yeah, just this group here. We're nailing it.
yeah, he just would have really cool people on. And the conversations weren't that structured, which is sort of like what we do. It's a talk.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about stuff.
And we're not even drinking, or maybe you are.
Oh, we gotta get this over. I gotta get down to the hotel bar here.
On the rocks. It must be cheap stuff. He's drinking it on the rocks. Okay.
Well,
So,
this show isn't sponsored by Glenn anybody. No Glens
Yeah.
are sponsoring this show whatsoever.
Yeah.
anyway, hang in there, group. We're going to get started in 4 minutes. We've got a bunch of attendees on Facebook Live, and people are joining in now on here. Make sure you get your friends on.
Cool.
BBR 71 coming up.
Nice.
71 calls, Joe, since like the very end of March or beginning of April we've been on.
Really?
Yeah, pounding them out.
Holy cow. Good thing you worked out all the bugs, eh? So now you can really
And you're-
impress me.
You're the most famous Canadian we've had on the show so far.
Am I the only one?
Absolutely.
My man.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Hold on.
Andrew, you can't count Kaylee because she has her own island up there.
Oh,
So.
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Well, I'm glad to be here, you guys. Thank you so much.
Where's home? Where's home for you, Joe?
I live in Victoria, in British Columbia.
Well, isn't that where Kaylee lives, or she lives on an island? Yeah,
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
Well, it's my island, so she can. So yeah, I guess it is.
but she lives on an island off of.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's one of those. She's one of those island. Oh, those are no joke. Those islanders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very funny.
But she has good internet.
I
Somehow,
do too at home.
yeah, you do.
That blows my mind. She's on an island. She has great internet, right? That's just, it's good stuff.
You know what the new stuff that what is it? I forget what it's called. The stuff that Elon Musk is coming out with, the Star satellite system.
Starlink.
I-
Starlink.
Yeah, my sister and brother-in-law live in a really remote area, and so they have a goat farm. So we're going to be doing a bunch of live stream. I built a business for them called Zoom Goats, where they bring goats into Zoom meetings, and they do tours. But their internet's not strong enough to do a lot of the live streaming. But they're going to get this satellite stuff. They're going to be cranking it out. So stay tuned.
Cool. Very cool.
I'll get you guys to bring some goats on your show.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe Chantel can do their hair or something.
We looked a little like goats a couple months ago, man, after being
Actually,
a COVID
James,
closure.
I do see a resemblance. I do.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I got it going. I just chopped it off the other night, right? The white starts coming in. Couple old nanny goats.
Hey, Andrew, you're
Don't
getting
worry,
some.
Joe. It's coming to you. I got that red beard too, and all of a sudden now
love
it's
it.
red and white.
You're getting some love, Andrew, on Facebook for your talk on Tina Black.
Hey, Tina Black.
When were you on her? You were just on her podcast?
I was. Tina's great. She was great on the BBR. Love her.
All right, so looks like we are queued up, guys.
Ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know.
I broke my
Okay, we are-
clapboard, Joe, so we gotta do the fake one. Hey guys,
Oh,
welcome
I
to.
fell for it.
You want to do James? You doing the intro? You do the intro.
I will gladly do the intro for my
Go
pal
for it.
Joe. Hey, what's up, everybody? Beauty Business Reset number 71. We are here tonight with my good friend Joe Girard from Change, Grow, Achieve. I mean, amongst the bazillion other things, I will tell you that any of the cool technology I have was always thanks to Joe. He always had the cool boy toys and well, probably not boy toys, but the cool gadgets.
Hey.
Well, you know what, Joe? Listen, I know you Canadians can be a little funny sometimes, but Joe's got a knack for just a real natural approach to sales and what to do. He's got a great 4-part series now about subliminal selling and some really cool stuff. But more over than anything else, he's just a really good guy, and he's always got some very interesting and bright things to say. So, Joe, welcome to the show tonight. Great to have you. I think he froze. Did he freeze, or he's just doing?
Okay.
He's good.
How's that?
So Joe, welcome. Joe's out doing some sales training this week in Vancouver, but I really wanted to get you on to get your perspective. I know that you have a lot of good friends in the salon business. Some of my really good friends are, introduced me to Joe the first time, but is there anything that you can lend to salons? Most salons are at reduced capacity. Obviously, people are in masks, so your typical conversational selling isn't something that's so easy to do, and it's not as natural as it was. Anything that you can bring in that you think might be good sales tactics or some things that can kind of help salon owners jump over that hump?
Yeah, you bet. And I will say, I'm at the hotel now. So if my internet's a bit choppy, hey, call the hotel. So yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is with everything that's been going on, sales still really isn't changing. People just have to be adaptable. And I think, the saying that I usually give everybody is just don't be a salesy weirdo, right? That's the number one thing I tell everybody. That's probably where I make most of my money is I listen to how people talk to their clients. I listen to how people talk to each other. And I'm like, you're just being weird. And that's where people pay me money. So the whole thing in the salon is like anytime you've got an exchange of value, you've got customers and you got people giving those customers services and products. And so if you can serve those customers, you can help them buy stuff, then it's really about the experience. And I think right now, the biggest, like in general, like for salons, just get good at helping those customers buy. I think a lot of times stylists are afraid to even ask or try to influence a purchase decision because they don't want to be salesy. But customers they want to have an experience. They want to have this awesome, life. They're not coming to the salon because they're trying to save money. They're trying to improve their quality of life, right? And so, with what's happening right now, with all the changes and the masks and all the stuff, the best thing you can do is lead through this change. If you're going to sell, you need to set an example. You need to provide guidance and make this kind of a fun opportunity. Just the fact that it's different gives you room to lead through it. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing is they're all saying, well, this is a very hard time. It's a difficult time and it's a new normal. I don't think you need to do that. I think you need to say, hey, this is crazy. Let's have some fun with it. Here's what we're doing because of it. And we want to still serve you. And let's have an awesome time as a buyer-seller relationship. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing, not just in salons, but across the board.
No, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense too. And I think the thing that you touched on about, lead throughing it, I think that's an important message for a lot of our salon owners that are on, is that you're going to have to lead. You were supposed to be leading anyway, whether
Yeah.
COVID was
What
here
are
or
we doing?
pandemic, right? So, thankfully, I think a lot of people that have been on our calls took the opportunity to sort of grow and sort of have an advanced track about what to expect. So whether it was raising prices or, different things that they were going to have to manage or mitigate, they were all pretty good at it. But that's a message for you guys, lead through it. I mean, don't miss these opportunities now to be able to educate your client, as Nancy just said, on the Facebook group, and to be able to talk about what you're going to do and how you're going to grow for next year, because this is eventually going to go away, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it goes away tomorrow or goes away 3 weeks, 6 months, it doesn't make a difference. The way you lead through this now is going to showcase later on when this is all done. And think about how great it would be when this is finally over for you to say, man, I did some great stuff. I got goats on Zoom. I built a ballet studio. I planned all these things out that we were going to do, and you just flip that switch. And when there's no more masks to worry about, you can kind of go back and say, hey, man, I don't have to worry about so much of the crazy anymore. But man, if I put all of those seeds and planted and watered them the whole time during this, and you could really reap the benefits later on. What do you think, Andrew?
I totally agree. And it does. I have a question for Joe, because
I'm here.
there's, hey, you're the man. The physicality of it all. How does that, what are some things that we can do? We're communicating through masks. We're have stuff on. The client's nervous. And I'm not going to say rightfully. That's how it is. What are some tips that you have for people, because that's their reality?
Well, the thing is the challenge right now is that we don't know who's nervous and at what level they're nervous and if they're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
So because this is such a wild thing that's happening, that we can't make assumptions, and we also don't want to minimize people's concerns. But at the same time, this whole idea of leading through this change, forget about like all the pandemic type stuff, but anytime there's change, anytime there's new rules and new stuff happening, you need to be able to be adaptable, and your clients need to see that you're confident through this. So, like you're saying, like in the physicality of it, is really kind of set. I mean, I come from an education background. It's setting expectations, right? Being honest, being straightforward, setting sort of dual accountabilities. Here's what we're going to be doing, and here's what we hope you're going to be doing. And if we can, if we can just do these things, here's the rules. Let's just have fun with it. It's the same thing. I did a lot of work today with a bunch of people on sales calls, and they have to call people and talk about really kind of somewhat boring stuff. And so they were doing very boring things. And so, the people that on the other end, they're saying, nobody's having fun on this. I'm like, yeah, because we're setting the tone for this conversation to be awkward from the beginning. Once they get into a nice conversation with them, everybody's having a good time. So if you kind of think that you can lead with a difficult conversation or a weird conversation and then save it with more fun, you've already set yourself up to fail. Mm-hmm. So I think leading with the right energy, and not starting, having a strong opening, disrupting the patterns that people have. A lot of people are here. I know when all of this stuff started happening, every email was during these difficult times from all these brands. I'm like, I'm not interested in how you're giving me a discount on your software during these difficult times. I don't want your email. I'm not looking for your sympathy. I got stuff to do. So all of your, leading with all this sympathy and sadness, that's not necessarily what everybody wants. They want to know this is going to be okay. And there's an opportunity to have some fun with this. Be like, hey, here's the rules. Here's what we're doing. If you want to follow these rules, let's go. Let's party. Come in. Let's do stuff. Right.
So Joe, one thing I want to touch on is experiential selling, and I hate to use it, selling as connected to it, but I think that was one of the most important things you said. Prior to COVID, clients came in for the same reason, the experience. Now that we have COVID and we're dealing with COVID, clients are still coming in. But are you relaying the experience they want, or are you relaying what's going on in your world and doom and gloom, right? Yeah. So make it. I think it's important. Make it fun. I had a coaching call today with a client, and they said, "Well, what do we do right now?" And I said, "The holidays are coming up. Stop looking at COVID every day. Right. Start making it enjoyable. People are coming to your salon not just to get their hair cut. They're coming to your salon to get the hell away from their world that's a bubble, right? So
yeah, they're hearing it all through the news, and you're like, hey, by the way, didn't you hear?" It's like, oh, right.
Yeah, and I think experience-wise too, one of the first things we did was we just changed the music. I mean, salons are known for either, whatever your look and feel is in your salon, but salons, especially in higher end areas, tend to have that, weird Pottery Barn meets whatever CD on rotation, So we kind of made it fun. We did some 60s playlists, some 70s playlists. So all songs people would know, sing in the shower type stuff. And people right away changed their mood as soon as they walked in the door, because it was just added that little bit of lighthearted. Yeah, we're going to take your temperature. Thank God we're going to do it on your forehead and not any other weird ways. But here's your COVID form. Now we're over that. Sit down. Let's have some fun and let's make it.
But dude, what if you said, just as a piece of fun, be like, hey, we're going to take your temperature. What do you prefer us to do? Which way? Right? Most people are choosing forehead. There's so much you could do to have fun. We're doing with these sales calls, I call it, remember that movie 8 Mile, right? With Eminem? Sure. Where at the end he's doing the rap battle, and before he starts, he goes, I am from a trailer park and my mom does drugs, and this guy's stuff with my girlfriend. What are you going to say about me? So I teach kind of an 8 Mile opener when we're doing sales. If people are going to feel this way or say these things or start this way, call it out. So these companies are saying, hey, we're good, we're all set. Be like, hey, before you tell me you're all good and you're all set, I'm hoping you can help me. I want to try and give you a sales pitch, and I want to see if you can tell me if it's any good. Now you've just disrupted a mental pattern, right? And so a lot of this is, we do a lot of, when you talk about subliminal, subconscious, we do a lot of stuff on mental scripts and breaking those mental scripts, getting people out of robot mode and challenging that mental pattern, challenging and disrupting. So if you have people that are coming in, they're expecting a certain thing that everybody's doing, change it up, make it fun, make it interesting, make it different, still follow your protocols, but operate within a really fun realm following protocols. I mean, I just see a lot of people making this really not fun. Right?
I think that entering it, I mean, every individual, if you can have someone in your chair, so enter the conversation or enter believing that you want to create, you have the ambition to create a great relationship then and there. It's going to be phenomenal. That's a mindset that we go into first thing. I really see that as important. If we go into it with any less than that, we're not going to have the outcome that we want, which is a wonderful time and a wonderful relationship.
Yeah.
So Joe, I got somebody on Facebook just posted an interesting comment. I'll answer it, and then I definitely want to hear what you have to say about it. But they said, I find challenges in dealing with people that are purchasing from Amazon. Now, my immediate response to that would be, if they're purchasing for Amazon, you're making it too hard on them to purchase it from you. Why couldn't you give them the same experience as Amazon? Because the only reason somebody wouldn't purchase for you is because of instant gratification or a barrier. So, and what I mean by that is make it easy for them to purchase online, just as easy as Amazon, with your shipping, whatever it might be. Instant gratification. We live in a world of instant gratification. Make things easy. Don't put barriers in front of clients.
Yeah. So you want me to sort of address that whole thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Battle on, brother.
No, that's good. I'm in, man. This is why I'm here. Just talk about stuff. It's partly, the instant gratification, but I also think there's a habit that's in there. People are used to, I want this thing, I go to Amazon. So we have to disrupt that habit, right? We have to form a better habit, which, as Andrew was saying, is I wanted to touch on that, is the building of the relationship. Partly, like right now, one of the things that I'm seeing there's a big opportunity is during these difficult times, when anytime there's a challenge in the market or society, anything that's happening right now, this is our opportunity to kind of go in the trenches and kind of collaborate with our clients, with our customers, because on the other side of that is we get to say, hey, remember that time we all went to battle together and we survived and we won? This is where we're at now. So, like if you're thinking about the relationships you're trying to create right now, I want to think about in a year from now, what's the ideal version of that? How do we start it now? The challenge with the Amazon thing is if you don't have a relationship with them, it's really hard to say, well, please buy from me instead of Amazon, unless you have that relationship. And also going back to what we said about, stylists and people in salons, maybe not necessarily having, the feeling like they want to sell. If you do an ultimate service with somebody, like they should have been doing this 6 months ago, a year ago, hey, let's just talk about how I can help you out the best. Let's look at your hair. Let's look at what you're doing. Let me give you some tips, some ideas and things you can do, whether you buy from us or not. But did you know we also can provide that for you if you need? So before you go on, so I would be pre-framing that, saying before you go on Amazon next time, let me know, call us, and we'll make sure you get what you need at the cost, same cost, if not better. We might be able to bundle things together. We want to make sure that you're getting everything you need from us. And if you can find it cheaper, if you can find it better and, more effective, especially right now, I wouldn't, dissuade somebody from buying on Amazon if it makes sense, if they're nervous to leave their house, if they just want it delivered. If you can provide the same thing, if not better, then they just might not know. So it's not so much anything other than a habit, and our job is to inform them and help them kind of make that decision ahead of time. It's always hard to kind of come up with it after they start doing it, but we want to have that relationship built ahead of time.
Yeah, and I think too that there's certain things like curbside. That was a new thing for salons. Salons never even
great.
thought about doing curbside, right?
Yeah, just
And that's
whipping it in the
something we'll
car.
never
Love
get
it.
rid of. Because I can't tell you how many clients that have either, listen, if they have demanding jobs that now they're on Zoom, or they have kids in homeschool and they just want to make a break and run, we send them that, we have their credit card and file. It's like grab and go. Hey, listen, whatever you need, just send me the list. I'll put it together for you and it'll be ready for you. Just run outside and it'll be on the porch and it's a done deal. And
Yeah,
sometimes
we went for lunch today, and they have like, you scan the app or you scan the thing, gives you the menu, and you can pay at the same time. We're like, well, that's way cooler than it used to be. Like, there's ways that it could be cooler now than it used to be, right? Sorry to cut you off there.
no, but it's true. Using technology to your advantage. We already had this technology. We just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Joe, you said something really interesting about, to me at least, and I hope to our audience, about it's really honoring what someone has done for their condition. We don't know what they've been through. So I think in setting the intention for someone sitting in a chair, let us learn about them. Let us listen. Let us ask questions and honor whatever comes up, and then help them improve. Can we, Because we're doing a service is at an improved type of thing to what they're already getting. And so it improving is really, I'll tell you, the biggest thing, the most advanced communication you can have, folks, is making someone's day.
Yeah.
That's the biggest deal in the world. Make someone's day. So when we go in with that intention, how are you going to make someone's day? How are you going to be? And I think we all, and tell me if I'm off base here, let go of the need for them to leave with what you recommended. It's okay if they don't. Let go of it and enter the conversation, playfully, seriously, lightly. And it's not about you, it's always about them. And don't come down on yourself if they've not said yes to the offer. I mean, too much of that. That's my.
Yeah. I think, like just talking on that, I've seen so many times when, like, because we don't want to sell and we don't want to push, at the end, after when we didn't do that, customers come back and say, why didn't you tell me I could have bought that? I would have bought it from you. You're like, well, I didn't want to sell it to you. Like and the customer goes, that's ridiculous. I would have absolutely bought from you. So there's this like kind of backwards thinking, like we're trying not to sell. That's what they want. They don't want you to be pushy. They don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy stuff. That's why they're there. They're not just, nobody forced them to come there and be like, you better get your haircut, buy stuff. That's not what's happening, right?
And that's the truth. That's not a bunch of sales guys just telling you, hey guys, we're not making that up.
People are, Andrew, people are afraid of the word no. To me, no is exciting. For every 10 no's, I might get a yes. And if you look at it as exciting, that's the process, right? Accept no. A no is a common thing, but who cares? Did it affect me personally? No. There's a no, right? I'll go through that all day long to get to that one yes.
Well, it's funny. There was a famous business book called Start with the No. And the concept behind it is, at least if you tell me no, I know I can ask you, why did you say no? And you'll give me an answer. Maybe is the worst answer. Yes is great. Give me a yes. I'm good with the yes. But maybe is like on the fence is the absolute worst because, well, you're going to buy that? Maybe. Well, now you really don't have any follow-up. If somebody says no, well, why not? Oh, because I make my own shampoo with my goat milk in my ballet studio, or whatever you do. But at least you can get an answer. But I love the way you guys, Andrew and Joe, talking about asking, you're using the opportunity to ask questions. So you get Derek's yes, like ask them questions. You know what I mean? Piece them all together that way.
There's one thing. At
least you ask the question, right? Yeah. As Joe said, at least you're asking. If you don't ask, like you guys said, the customers be like, I never knew you had that. Well, hey, dummy, you should have told them, right?
If you're there's asking and there's asking, and there's rote asking and service asking. And if you come from a place of service and you ask, it's very different. It feels very different. But you have to be coming from that place. You yourself have to believe that. Anyone can follow the script. That's not what it's about.
One of the things that I've been doing a lot with, I'm a big nerd with like sales call reviews and just watching people in the wild. I love studying the sort of the social interaction of people. And it's usually the stuff that's happening in between the words that is the sort of the unspoken stuff. And one of the things that I know is like you're saying, Andrew, is the way that we ask is if it's with a question mark or if it's with an exclamation mark. And so I'm always looking for that is if I ask you like, hey, would you like to maybe buy some shampoo? I don't feel confident in asking, and they can feel that. And like our mirror neurons kick in and say, I don't think they really want me to buy this, but I'm like, oh my God, this shampoo is awesome for you. Do you want to buy this? Do you want to check this out? Because I'm viscerally excited to help you buy this thing. If I don't believe in it, don't do it. I mean, people always talk about sell it. You can't sell if you don't believe it. But that's what I think about when we're asking for commitment. If you don't feel like you can ask it with an exclamation mark, you either got to work on your product knowledge or your belief in that product, or do a better job of understanding what that customer needs. So you don't feel like you have to sell, or you sell from this place of weakness. Like I see people like leaning way back. Please, if you would like to buy, it's like, come on, man, lean in and tell them, I want to sell you this thing. Give me your credit card. Let's go. That's what it should feel like.
What about the products? Here's an interesting one for you, Joe. What about, or how do you feel about products that you feel sell themselves, right? So, like, I feel like, Apple comes out with a new iPhone and everybody that works in the Apple store. Matter of fact, I feel like the worst salespeople in the world, Apple should do us all a favor and hire them all because they can't stop selling that stuff. They could have
Yeah.
you don't even have they could put robots there and they would sell iPhones by the millions. But
Mhm.
what about stuff like that, that the products that sell themselves, like what do you think the value is? Do you think there's a way to create that within your space? So whether it's a salon or not, and you said believing in the product obviously is going to, the more you believe in it, the more product knowledge you have. Obviously, you're not even selling, you're educating at that point. But what do you think makes that transition to be the must have or the self
Mhm.
sell product?
Well, I might take this a different direction. You can fish hook me, bring me back if you need to. But I'm thinking about just sort of like price anchoring. There's a lot of stuff that we look at. And example is like way back when I started my business, I had a personal coach, like a business coach that I worked with. And I said, how much is going to cost? And I didn't have much money because I just started. And he's like, well, it's $2,500 a month, and we'll do one session a week. And he said, well, if you do $5,000, it's 2 sessions. And he said, but if you want to do 10 grand, I'll fly you out here and we'll work together. And I was like, 10, I'm not gonna pay this guy 10 grand. I'm like, I don't have 10 grand to spend. But then my mind went, what would I have to do? Who would I have to become to be able to afford that? And I was like, wait, he's gonna fly me out on my money I just gave him. But I'm like, what would I have to do to be able to justify that cost? I would love to have a personal business coach at 10 grand a month where that wasn't an issue for my income. Right. And so the same thing is like when we think about the experience, maybe we talk about what it looks like, when we work with. So if it's a first brand new client, we say, hey, welcome here. This is what the experience is going to be like. Normally, here's the ways we work with people. And, some of our favorite clients, we get into some really creative ways where they work with these products or these services, but let's get you started here. So it's a bit of future pacing, a bit of ownership, a bit of letting them know we do some really amazing things and letting them feel like I want to chase the bigger relationship. So that relationship, they start to see the way you interact with previous clients and older clients that you've been there. They're like, I want that too. That allows you then to set a standard for their behavior, especially right now, of who they need to become to earn the right to get your top level service, your top level products. And you could be saying, we do these private events where we showcase these products where you can come in. I'd love to invite you to this thing we're doing where we're previewing. We have our distributors who come in and they do specific training on curly haired stuff. Like there's so many things you guys can do to make them feel like, wow, I want to chase the best relationship and I want to chase the top line products so you don't have to force feed it to them.
I love that. That's great. I didn't have to fish hook you. You did good.
Beauty.
I would have. I would gladly fish hook you to do it.
That was
I'm here,
amazing.
baby.
No, that's interesting, and I think that's something you guys that are on need to think about too. Is that, if you set those expectations for what the service is like, I know sometimes, especially right, masked and everything now, new client comes in. We have had an influx of new clients in our salon. Um, I'm always the one that looks at them crooked, like, did you get fired from somewhere? Like, did somebody kick you out? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you looking for a new relationship now? But truthfully, a lot of them, maybe they got their hair done in the city and they worked in the city and now they're looking for someplace closer to home or whatever. But there, if you set that up, that expectation of what the next visit's going to be like, and you're casting that out further and further, and you say, well, maintenance for this is going to be this many weeks, and at this many weeks we do this, and it's going to be a great time because that's when we have this event that we do, or you keep them with a little bit of planning, you can keep them so interested in what you're doing and excited. And you didn't sell them anything. You basically said, hey, I'm going to call you back in 6 weeks to spend more money with me, and then 6 weeks after that, I'm going to make you spend more money. And you didn't really sell them. You got them excited.
And you just frame the relationship. And also at the same time, you give them a big out to say, I don't want to spend that money. I say, great. When you're ready, we're here. And that's why, there's a lot of things you can do to set, different phases of relationships. And then you just figure out your business. I think a lot of people that are listening, there's a lot of areas you can raise your prices. There's a lot of areas you can go VIP service. There's a lot of things you can do, but I wouldn't lead with the VIP, but make people work really hard to earn the right to be a VIP client, right? It's a mindset shift.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the subliminal stuff. I'm digging that, man. I know, we've had Jay, we've had some psychology sessions on here before, but tell us a little bit about that because I find that really interesting, and hopefully everybody else does.
Yeah, well, I just the series that I did. So I got next week. I'm speaking for about 300 real estate agents in Atlanta online. It's great. I love this travel in the world stuff. But you know, we were looking at initially. They, you know, this is part of the fun is they came to me to ask, you know, more technical type stuff like spin selling and question skills and systems and tech. And then as we started talking, the conversation's really shifting back to like mindset and, you know, big permission to play and having fun with this stuff, personal branding, you know, don't be weird, all this stuff. And so we got into a conversation last week about, you know, different books that I'd recommend. And so I just decided to recommend the books and then just do a YouTube series on it because it helps them too. So that's kind of like my sales judo move. But the 3 books we looked at was Subliminal, Thinking Fast and Slow, and then The Power of Habit. And then, you know, it's really my, you know, I nerd out on psychology and human dynamics. And, you know, I think a lot of it is trying to figure out, you know, one, understand why I'm an insane person, because this helps me figure that out. I still don't know. But then 2, just why people make decisions. We all think that we are in control of how we make decisions. We're not. There's so much happening, you know, under the hood and subconscious and subliminal communication. And so there's, you know, lots of studies and the research that just supports that. And I think the more we try and control our natural human behavior, the harder it becomes, right? Like we think that, you know, our conscious thought is what we're in charge of. It's all the unconscious stuff. So Subliminal, I don't know if you guys have seen that book. You know, there was lots of studies. One of them was, you know, and this is actually, it ties really tightly, good segue into what we're talking about. But the one study was, you know, they gave these kids like 2 sets of rats. So they gave them one group, they told them that these rats were really top-notch rats and they were really like from a special breed and they are high-performing rats. And then the other group was given these like stupid rats. They were all the same rats. But the kids were given these rats and said, now I want you to help them, you know, work their way through these mazes. And just their behavior, the way they treated them, the way they encouraged them, the way they just acted towards these rats. Of course, the rats that were highly bred did very, very well. In fact, twice as fast through some of these mazes, just the way they treated them. So then they, you know, started to look at the same kind of things with humans. And so they brought in a bunch of people who were told that they were the researchers, but really they were the studies, right? Where they said, you know, here's these faces. I want you to look at these pictures of these people before you meet them. And they found on average these faces that people were deemed to be neutral, but they told them these are successful people, the one group, and these are unsuccessful people. Now we're going to give you a script that you're going to go through and work them through this script and get them to answer these questions. And the ones that were told they were unsuccessful performed like half as well as the ones that weren't. So then they said, okay, is it because it's a body language thing? Is it a subconscious communication, something that's happening, like the way they're interacting? So they did the exact same thing, but had them do it over the phone. Same, almost identical numbers through the phone. Somehow through the phone, they were communicating that they didn't think these people could succeed. And then they took it a level deeper and they did it pre-recorded. They had them listen to it because maybe there's something happening in the interaction that they couldn't have. So they had them pre-record their script, like the same words, and they weren't as dramatic, but they performed much less than the ones that weren't. So this is all about sort of empowerment and, you know, being able to transfer of confidence. And I talk about mirror neurons. And so if I believe something, that's the only way I can convince you that I believe it. You know, if I think that you can do, like they looked at studies with kids and kids were underperforming in math because their parents were told these people, or they said this kid's not very good at math. Or if you think you're going to have a difficult customer, you're going to treat them like a difficult customer. Anything, if you think this person's not going to buy, guess what? That negative reinforcing loop, you're going to make them not buy stuff. Subconsciously, you're going to communicate everything. So the challenge is to set your intentions before you do any of this stuff. Really figure out what do you want to convey and do you fundamentally believe it? So that's a lot of the stuff that we work on, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'm just going to push them or I'm going to sell them. It's like, if you don't believe it, it's really hard. It's 10 times as hard.
That's funny. Hey, you know, it's funny, Joe. We had talked about this a long time ago, non-COVID related, but talking about habits and building habits. Everybody loves to use 30 days, right? It's sort of like the New Year's Eve thing. Like, I'm going to stop drinking on New Year's Eve and I'm going to do this in 30 days. It's going to be fine. Or I'm going to go on this 30-day diet. How many days is it to start to actually get into where it's a habit?
Well, it's 67, right? Because the reason it was the number was 21 days to build a habit. Have you guys seen Psycho-Cybernetics, Maxwell Maltz? And so the reason they came up with that was he was a plastic surgeon. And so he found it took like 21 days to reassimilate like your new piece of body to your face or whatever. And so all these self-help gurus are like, well, that's a perfect number. So they created all these change your life in 21 days, 3 weeks to build a habit. And that's how long it takes. It takes 67 days. That's the stat.
Yeah, so keep
Shame
that in
on you,
mind, guys.
self-help gurus.
67 days, guys. Keep that in mind. If you start it today, by the time after a week into New Year's, you'll actually have it as a habit. So don't waste any time. Don't wait till the ball drops and decide that you're going to change your life in the next 24 hours, because it takes a little bit longer than that. 66 more days than that, but that's what.
And the key with that, it actually what other number was around 55 to 60 is when most people give up. And I remember when I did a 90-day challenge, I had a blog, I said blogged every day for 90 days. Day 59, I was like, I hate this. It sucks so bad because you're in this place where you're not seeing any results and you're just like, you're bored with the thing and you want to do something else. Or like, I'm so ADD, I want to do something else all the time. And when you know, like, that's why all this stuff about psychology, if you know this is how it goes and your body's going to do this, then you could do something about it. You're not a victim. So if I know it takes 67 days to build a habit and I'm going to give up at 55, then I'm now empowered to push through for another couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, and it's funny too. We, obviously salon owners obviously have hairstylists that work for them, and we do a lot of coaching and we deal with a lot of salons and particular stylists. And I love when they say, what made you get into the hair business? And they say, oh well, I was no good at math. Right, or I was right. Or I hated science, and so I became in the hair business. And it's like, well, you realize you're doing geometry and chemistry all day long. So when you throw in the psychology component, what do you think that you're doing behind the chair? Amongst other hats that you're wearing, or not hats, so you can actually cut their hair. But
full-time therapy, like they could probably write their thesis today for the amount of people they talk to, right?
Yeah, no, and it's true, but that's this like the setting of the intentions, like Andrew just posted in, and having a plan of action. 67 days, 68 days. It doesn't the amount of days doesn't really matter if you don't have that intention set. You don't have that game plan. You're going to be stuck in the same mode, whether you're wearing a mask or whether you're still stuck in the house or whatever's going to happen. You're not going to advance forward. So we're the owners we talked about in the beginning about leading through. Make sure your staff understands that too. I mean, you have to look at it this way. They should be, everybody wants you as the owner to be accountable, right? You're accountable for everything. If the staff could sit with you, if you had a little camera on your shoulder and they saw what you go through as an owner, and you're doing payroll and you're worrying about making sure you have PPE in case there's some type of another uptick or some type of closure, or you're trying to be on these calls on Monday nights, and maybe your kids are being homeschooled and you're still worried about I don't know how it is on your side of Canada, Joe, but paper towels here are still a pain in the ass. But so you're planning and prepping all these other things as a salon owner, and you're planning. So make sure your staff knows that too, that they should be doing.
I haven't washed my hands for years, so.
Right? There's I can't remember. There was a George Carlin line about going to the bathroom and washing his hands. I'll have to dig it up and find it.
Let's leave that one out.
Yeah. No, that's good. But Andrew, talk a little bit about setting intentions. That's one of Andrew's favorite things, I think.
Love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, setting intentions, you want an outcome. You must be intentional in that outcome. It doesn't mean you control the whole thing, but you set a pathway. You have a vision for it. You want to take the relationship. And we start with, you want a great relationship. What does that look like to you? And then what steps do you have to fill in to make that true? I want to shift just a little bit and ask Joe a question about the habit formation and changing. Where does agency, the need to or necessity come in? Anyone could change a habit. How, change, doesn't it have to be important to you personally?
Does it have to be personally important to change a habit?
Yeah.
Depends. I think
Okay.
it's I think it really depends on what it is. I think it might not be that habit that's important, but maybe a change in sort of an expectation of self. So it might be a habit that you're frustrated, but it is also maybe a cause and effect with a lot of other things.
Hmm.
So it might be a series of habits. It might be a lifestyle change. It might be a mindset shift. But the overall goal has to be important enough to
Yeah.
do it. And if you can't find it important enough, then you have to be willing to go through the garbage and the process of changing a habit, even though you know it's not going to be fun. So even if it's not something that's like fundamentally driving you, if you can say, well, if you know it's maybe there is an integrity piece to it. I do want to change this. I don't care that much, but I know I should. But based on my integrity, I'm going to see this thing through. Because the only thing you have is that do you do what you say you're going to do? And every time you fail on that, there's a failure when you didn't have a plan, and then there's also a failure where you just judge yourself perpetually. So if you don't have a plan, you can't judge yourself. So get a plan and then see it through. But if you have a plan, you say you're going to do it, and then you don't do it, then there's nothing anybody can do to help you.
Yeah. So how you were being.
So the question is, yeah.
This way, you've chipped away at yourself, and
Yeah.
you've become small.
Absolutely. So agency, you know, like like that's where I think a lot of people, I really have to love and care for this goal, and it has to be so important. It's like, no, it doesn't. You just have to say, I'm going to make this change, and then do what you say. And if you can't do that, don't say you're going to do it. Right? It doesn't have to be a major life altering goal. You just have to do the stuff you say you're going to do.
You become the person who does what he or she says.
Yeah.
And that's
and I always tell people, like, you get to have that story. Then you get that story. You get to say, hey, I said I was going to do this and I did it. Now you own that piece of time and you own that piece of history. But if you don't do that, or you continually let yourself down, then that's going to be your narrative, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So making all these declarations is important.
Mm-hmm.
Not just.
Well, I just see a lot of people declare they're going to do something, and then they like say on Facebook, and then they disappear 2 weeks in. You're like, how's that going?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So don't declare it if you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Hey, Joe, question for you. Someone was asking about teams and things like that working together. So, and obviously, listen, sales and educating and the stuff it's all the same. The industry just changes; it doesn't matter. But any good tips or tricks? I mean, you know, you've obviously been in a salon before. You know, you do have a team of. Yeah, I can tell by the well-groomed beard you have.
There's 8 hairs left on top.
But they, you know, in terms of teams working together, you know how salons operate. So it's not your typical like, hey, we're going to sit on opposite desks on hammering away on the phones, but it's a little more, it's a little closer quarters for salon employees to work together. Any good tips though about getting them in terms of either pairing up? Hey, this is my best employee, and this is one that struggles a bit, or you know, whether it's from a technical aspect or you know, retail sales or anything that might be good for salon owners to take back to try to practice.
Well, as long as you're not saying, hey, this is my best employee and you're my worst employee, why don't you guys get together? You're the worst. You guys need to talk. You know, here the thing is like I just did a whole team day with a brand new company. This is the first time we sat down. I'm going to be managing a big group of guys, and you know, sitting down and having one-on-ones and kind of stepping away from, you know, trying to drive the projects and really trying to influence people, trying to get them to create a sense of ownership and accountability. That's a big piece. But you know, one of the things I've been working on with a number of companies is like, you know, they're like, well, our team's not getting along or they're not performing. And so I say, okay, it's just like relationships. It's easy to say, well, you didn't do the dishes and you're a bad person and this is what's going on, instead of saying, well, do we have some foundational agreements as a group, as a coalition, that we all agree, like our values, our visions, our culture? Do we agree on teamwork? Do we all believe in teamwork? Do we all have the same vision of service? Do we all have the same vision of maybe even profitability? A lot of people might not believe that this is a role where we sell. So if you have a disconnect, an incongruency in what the beliefs are, talking about the issues, nobody cares. So if you have congruency and consistency and continuity in your belief structure, then you can say, okay, how are we all going to achieve that? And if we are not on track for that, how are we going to hold each other accountable? So how do we hold ourselves accountable? How do we hold each other accountable? And we did this. I used to work in a college, and it's a private college, and so we were really pushing hard for our aggressive sales goals. That's what my job was. And there was a point where I was noticing when I was taking somebody for, you can apply this in a salon, I was taking somebody for a tour around the school, trying to sell them on services, and a teacher would have a conversation in the hallway with somebody else that they shouldn't be having, that is going to negatively impact this student not buying from us, but succeeding through us. The relationship is now it doesn't feel like what he said it's going to feel like. So instead of saying, hey, shame on you, Mr. Teacher, for saying the things you shouldn't, we went back and held sort of an all hands meeting and say, hey, let's just really reset our belief. Are we in the education business, or are we in the customer service business? These are customers, these aren't students. What is our definition of success as customer service? What do we all believe? And you bubble up all the beliefs. You say, now, how do we make sure we deliver this? And if we notice somebody is not delivering that service, or somebody's having a conversation they shouldn't have, can we have the permission to say, hey, come over here? Anybody, whether you're at the lowest on the totem pole or the boss, is what do we prioritize as making sure the experience is set? And then you can also rally all your customers around the same cause. Remember what it's like when you're a first-time student or a first-time visitor, this feeling of everybody else belongs, but I don't belong yet. How do you create a sense of belonging? How do you create a sense of welcome and warmth and service? Because people forget that first experience is the only one that matters. And they're going to have that weird conversation. Oh, did you see what Bill did or Susan did? And you're like, that's cutting our legs. And so there's a lot of stuff from a team side and a culture side, but also an individual responsibility and sort of correction side. So that's my long, short answer.
Well, that was really good, Joe. The old saying, first impressions better be best impressions, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, mystery shoppers, man. Send in some mystery shoppers, see what they do.
Yeah, that could be interesting, sending in mystery shoppers for sure. No, that's good. I like that, and I think that's something important. I did a training class for a salon today, and they had their whole team there. So they had front desk, they had assistants, they had junior stylists that were just getting their chair that probably wouldn't have gotten their chair if it wasn't for COVID. So I said, well, there's a positive thing for you with split shifting and extending hours. They actually got their first chair. So imagine that, your first chair, you're in a mask, new client comes in, you're like Edward Scissorhands, you're just trying to keep all your fingers,
Yeah.
But that's it. That was a great point. I wish I would have had that. I wish we would have had that call before, because I like the accountability of having the lowest person on the totem pole, the assistant, to be able to say, hey, we said this was a core value, or this is our belief and this is our mission. You guys in the back are having that conversation, and it's affecting what's going on with this new client that's there. I think listen, you might get some fights in the alleyway on it, but I think it's important. I think that's something, as owners, you should empower your staff to be able to have that conversation with you, because it's only fair. If you say it's the company mission, then it's the mission.
Well, and it's also if you have the agreement, it doesn't have to then be a big discussion. You get to, if you catch somebody doing something that goes against the core values and all agreed to sort of have a self-check, you could just tap them on the shoulder and be like, that's it. There's no need to discuss it. And they go, that's right, sorry. And they'll stop it. But if they don't stop it, then you have somebody that wants to not be a part of the team. And unfortunately, that's then where you have the hard conversations. Like, do you want to be here? We all have to believe in the same thing, because you can't have it two ways, right?
Yeah, I
Right,
love
so
that.
James, I'm just going to use a kind of a jock mentality and a Marine mentality, right? So in both places, when I was in wrestling and when I was in the Marines, we used to have a plaque on the wall with our core values. And guys used to walk through the porthole or the doorway and slap it to make sure they acknowledge that core value every day, right? So it's so important to have your team buy into those things. And if they're not buying into those things, then like Joe said, you probably need to have a conversation, maybe replace that team member, right, at some point. But it is important. And the thing I would ask most owners that are on here right now is, do you have your core values written? Is it a plaque? Is it a poster? Is it acknowledged by everybody? Is it in your break room, right? A big, even if it's on a whiteboard, so that it's constantly reminded. There was, I forget the SEAL that just did that book, but he said he kept Post-it notes all over his bathroom mirror, right? So you can't stop me. I think it was Andrew, right? The
Yeah,
book.
Jocko.
Jocko Wilneck?
Yeah, unbelievable guy,
He's
unbelievable guy.
great, yeah.
But literally kept Post-its all over his mirror every day, on his bathroom mirror, just to acknowledge what should be in his brain, but to see it visually. And I think that's important for your team to know.
Yeah, you know what, Andrew, going back to what you were saying, one of the things, it was funny because, you know, my wife is now, you know, starting her ballet business, and she's starting to come into her own thing. She told me a couple of weeks ago, because she started this back in March. She's always like had jobs, and now she's her own business owner. And she said a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that, wow, your advice is getting much better. And I said, my advice has not changed. You have absolutely improved as a business owner. And so now all of the stuff that we've, you know, I've tried to talk to her, explained to her before, is much more relevant. So when I was coming out here to do these sessions, I was trying, this is so fun, now I can explain this to her. But, you know, I've done all my prep work. I know what I need to go through. I know how I'm going to set up the team. I know all the things we're going to cover. So I spend the last 24 hours really trying to refine that intention I want to set. And Mike, because I'm working with a team of guys, young guys, I was just rehearsing my, how's it going, boys? That's all I was trying to get in my head. How do I set the tone for this relationship? So it's just, we're on it, we're in this together. And that's the only thing that I was working on. So if you're listening as a salon owner, there's so much stuff you guys have to do all the time that sometimes we forget to be like, well, who do I need to be when we're doing this stuff? And take some time away from like the checklists and all the stuff, and go, okay, how do we really empower these guys? How do we be quiet? How do we, you know, lift them up? How do we celebrate? How do we just set this intention? And I think that what you were saying, Andrew, is just really, really important, man.
Thank you. It's funny about your wife. She's probably ready to hear it.
Oh, she's loving it now. Well, everything's just like, and then because we talked, it was a pricing issue. Like same thing we said earlier, the value thing is you should charge more. Say, no, people won't buy that because of this, 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 and this. And now the value, she's like, I can sell this and I can sell this. She's like, this is great advice. I'm like, I said it 6 months ago.
No, that's good. Hey, listen, Joe,
Yeah.
so many good little tidbits of stuff. I hope you'll join us again, man. I mean, I feel
anytime.
like I'm writing. Andrew and I are both taking notes on the side here of things that we want to talk about next time. But it was really great to have you. I think any of our salon owners that are on, just take some of those things, set those intentions. I feel like this is the perfect time too. And the joke of it, the 67 days. So you can get through New Year's Eve and get to the end of the week and you would have made your 67 days on it. But, you know, don't let the holiday planning and things get in the planning of how you want your business to be and how you want to show up, right? What do you want it to look like? Set your intentions. But I think this is a really important time to do it as you start to get into this end of the year and, you know, you start to move forward to get ready for 2021. I think 2021. Are we still on pause, or is 2021 going to happen? Like, is that, can that happen? Like,
well, the season finale is in 2 days, right? So that's my Canadian joke.
This is a great time to become really get out there and do what we have to do to be present, because there's a lot of business to be had and a lot of people are just going to choose to sit on the sidelines. So don't be one of them.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, we have talked to owners that, you know, whatever they had to implement, whether it was state law that they had to do certain things and go through certain protocols. And, you know, Joe, the funny thing was there was a lot of chatter in the beginning about all the different sanitation and disinfection. And, you know, one side of the aisle was saying, you know, we went to beauty school and we know how to do this. And, you know, from my end, I said, well, the client experience side is they didn't realize that we had to do that. So now if you can make that seem like it's a little more prevalent, you know, they are noticing things are cleaner, you know, use that to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, that's good. But listen, Joe, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you tonight.
I'll say this, as you're saying, if you want, one of the things you guys can do, if the people are listening, if you guys have a specific topic that we maybe want to go a deep dive on, I'm happy to jump on it. We can really go through like a full, you know, powwow through some real deep stuff if you guys want. Happy to jump on anytime you want, man.
I love it, man. And we'll post some of your YouTube channel. Just tell everybody what your YouTube channel is, and I'll post it in the comments.
You know,
too.
I've really ramped it up this year. I think it's YouTube, and then Change, Grow, Achieve is my channel. And it's been doing well. I've been posting a lot more stuff on psychology, sales process, building in teams, and a lot of systems, small business, because when COVID hit, I was finding the coaching side, I was just really helping a lot of small businesses figure out what systems, softwares, tools, and strategies they could use, and just doing that through YouTube, and it's been going really well.
So what's the name again? Change,
Grow, Achieve.
Change, Grow, Achieve.
Yeah.
Great.
There's the 3 words I could get on a URL like 8 years ago, and that's how I named it. Everything else is taken.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. That was great, but Joe, thanks so much. We will definitely hold you to that, man. We'll hold you accountable.
Yeah, baby.
Set the intentions of deep diving into some interesting stuff. But listen, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with your training out there. And I look forward. By the way, everybody, next time Joe's on, we'll make sure he's in his studio so you can see all the funky, cool stuff that he has.
Finally have
the
some
stoplight. Yeah, I know. He's got some really cool stuff.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Joe.
Good night, everyone. See you next week for BBR 72.
Yeah, hey, everybody, next week, 2 p.m. call. We're doing the UK. We got Anthony Whitaker on with us, so we'll post that up in the group. But don't forget, 2 p.m. Eastern, so we can get our European friends on the right time zone, all right? But thanks again, guys. Good night. Thanks, Joe, Andrew, Derek. Good night.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, James.